What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track back with another video. It's finally here. It is Daytona 500 week. It's speed week. We got the duels. We got qualifying. We've got practice. We've got ARCA. We've got Xfinity. And of course, we have the Great American Race. And when we have the Great American Race, I put on some shades for the camera. I put on my 2023 Daytona 500 NASCAR hat. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see said things, but I do have some shades on. I've got my hat on. I'm probably going to get a 2024 hat when I get down to Daytona, which I will be going down to Daytona. I leave Saturday morning. We'll be there for Saturday ARCA Xfinity, and of course for the Great American Race on Sunday. If you watch the previous video on my channel, which is just a normal preview show, no betting involved, but we talk duels, we talk open cars, we talk qualifying, dark horses, all that good stuff. If you were able to watch the three guys that I was accompanied with on that video, the four of us will be going down to Daytona, so we're super excited for that. And I cannot wait to get back to Daytona. That'll be the second time for me, second year in a row as well. So, yeah, just can't wait to get down there. Fingers crossed on the weather from a betting standpoint. What we're talking about today, keep that in mind. Saturday looks pretty iffy. Looks like maybe stuff could get pushed back or move to a different day, quite frankly. And Sunday, right now, to me, it looks like we might get a night race. It looks like we might get around a 6 to 7 p.m. green flag start time, quite frankly. Things could change. I would expect that NASCAR is probably going to do all in their power to get this thing raced on Sunday. Huge income loss for them if they do end up racing on Monday, and even Monday looks like there's going to be some showers. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a night race. So again, from a betting perspective, keep that in mind. Maybe you might want to wait on some bets, but there is plenty of value on the board. That's the great thing about betting super speedways. You're going to see value throughout the week on so many different drivers. That's why I love betting the Daytona 500 and super speedways. Everybody's a long shot. Everybody has a legitimate chance to win. The favorite hovers around plus 1,000. It feels like golf almost, with all the odds and how the books make this the odds for these events. So anyway, like I said, weather, keep an eye on it. But also, if you see something on the board that you like in terms of value, I would place it now. And same thing, if you like some of my bets, which I hope you do, I would place them now because there's good value on those guys, in my opinion, as well. So with that, let's get right into it. Oh, one more thing, actually. The NASCAR betting preview show, the partnership with them. If you're listening via the podcast on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show podcast app, I appreciate that. Make sure you listen to all the content and betting creators that give out their picks and their shows on this podcast feed. And also, if you want to tune into the betting preview show on X, that's Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So give that a listen as well. Cool. All right. So now we can get into the betting portion of the program. To me, I'm going to rank these guys in order. Yeah, I'm just going to put a ranking on them, quite frankly. So my number one bet, the guy that I am putting the most money on, the guy that I am, in my opinion, the most confident in, and it's interesting because this is more of a feeling bet than anything, is the 9 of Chase Elliott. I am very high on Chase Elliott this season. I think the injuries, the suspension that he had during the season, I think that's behind him. I think no wins and not making the drivers' playoffs took a toll on Chase Elliott. I think people are counting Chase out. I think, people are clearly putting Larson ahead of him. And I think now they're like, well, I just saw what Byron did. I mean, he's second to me right now in the power rankings. I would just take a second, pause, and really think about that statement, and really be ready for the redemption season and the revenge season that Chase Elliott will have with Hendrick Motorsports. I am high on Chase. I think he's going to make a run in the playoffs. I think he's probably going to be in the final four. If you put a gun to my head right now, I would probably pick him to make the final four and be a legitimate championship threat to win his second championship. I'm high on Chase. I think his confidence um, is going to be back. I do think at points his confidence was kind of shot at points last season. I think he's going to come with this new confidence of I got to prove all these people and all these doubters wrong that I'm still here and I can win races. And I think it starts at the Daytona 500. Chase Elliott is my number one. Do the numbers, the Hendrick numbers, back it up? Um, Not really, because they weren't really good on super speedways last year. Quite frankly, Chevy wasn't really that good at super speedways last year. They did win the Daytona 500 with Stenhouse, but that wasn't really a speed aspect. Um, he was just in the right place at the right time at the end. But Ford was really the team to beat last year on super speedways, and then I would put Toyota the number two. But Chase Elliott, the number nine, I feel confident that I think at the end of the night on Sunday, we're going to see Chase Elliott in victory lane at Daytona. He's my number one. He is the guy I am ranking number one on this list. Number two, in my opinion, and I think the guy that the numbers favor the most, maybe his teammate, but I'm gonna say this driver, that's Brad Keselowski. And if you're a NASCAR fan and you watch the sport religiously, you would say, well, Johnny, that doesn't make sense. Brad Keselowski hasn't been in victory lane since April of 2021. And I would say, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I would also say Brad Keselowski and on RFK, excuse me, have taken multiple steps up each season. We saw they came out the gate. They showed a little bit of flashes as a team in the next gen era. And then last year, Chris Buescher, 3 wins. Brad Keselowski had multiple chances that he was up front leading at a super speedway, had a chance to win. Things just didn't fall the right way. But I think they take another step up this year. And especially the 16 takes that step up. Brad Keselowski, was the 8th fastest car at Daytona last year. And in the final, basically stage, he was the 2nd fastest car, only to his teammate Chris Buescher, who had an exceptional season at super speedways. In the last time we were at Daytona, the 17 team and RFK finished 1-2. It was Chris Buescher who won and Brad Keselowski who finished 2. I think the roles are going to change this year. I think Brad Keselowski is going to account for the bulk of the wins for RFK. And I think Brad is going to have a great shot to win his first Daytona 500. That team, Ford, they were exceptional at super speedways last year. Let's not forget he had a chance to win Talladega. He had a chance to win Atlanta, if not for a last lap pass by another exceptional super speedway racer in Joey Logano. So Brad Keselowski, the numbers support it. The talent, he's won so many super speedway races in his career. I love Brad in this spot as well. Number three, I'm ranking, and this is kind of a mixed bag. I think you can look at this two ways. Do the numbers favor it? Not quite. But it is interesting because this driver is going from one camp and organization to another, manufacturer, rather. So Eric Jones was in a Chevy with Legacy Motor Club last year. That team is now moving to Toyota, and I like that move. I like Eric Jones being surrounded by Denny Hamlin, being surrounded by a Bubba Wallace. Um, who else do I put in that camp? Even Martin Truex Jr., who's a good pusher. I know he hasn't got the win at some of these super speedways, but he always seems to be kind of up there at points at the end. So I like the experience. I think Eric Jones is going to have a good car. He's won a super speedway race at Daytona in the past. I think that team in general is going to make a major stride up this year. Do I trust his immediate teammate, John Hunter Nemechek? Probably not. I don't really trust him in the clutch to help Eric Jones. But we know the Toyotas like to skip to stick together. There was a third line trying to form late in the Daytona 500 last year, led by Bubba Wallace. I think now with Eric Jones and the addition of John Hunter Nemechek, Jimmy Johnson will be out there in a Toyota. Another guy, experience can help Eric Jones possibly get pushed to the win. I like the Toyota camp this year. The strength in numbers now feels like Toyota is building some momentum as a manufacturer, and I have the belief that Eric Jones is going to make that big stride up this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if it starts early in Daytona. So Eric Jones, lock that one in. Let me get some numbers on these guys too. Right now, I didn't put some numbers. So Elliott plus 1,400, Brad Keselowski hovering around plus 1,000, and then Eric Jones is right around plus 2,800. Those numbers are constantly changing. So shop around your book or books in general and see what number you can get those drivers at with the best value. Possibly wait. Maybe those numbers shift after practice and qualifying. If you don't love that number, I would understand that. Um, but yeah, definitely shop around and look into the best number that you feel like you can get. Um, Final guy I'm going with, more of a dark horse pick, but was actually, if you look by the numbers, the fastest car at Daytona last year, and that was Ford, that was Stewart Haas Racing, that was Ryan Preece. He's a boomer bust, quite frankly, at Daytona. He's one of my favorite drivers. He's a New England guy. So is there a little bit of bias? Maybe. But Ryan Preece was the fastest car at Daytona last year. And his best results in the Cup Series, he had his best finish at Talladega um, back when he was with JTG Doherty Racing. And he has shown speed, and Stewart Haas in general has shown speed at super speedway races. You look at a guy like Harvick, lost right at the line last year in the playoff race at Talladega to Blaney. Eric Almirola was on the front row at Daytona last year, led plenty of laps at multiple super speedways, even won a stage at a super speedway last year. So Stewart Haas Racing, although they don't have it on the intermediate style tracks, they always bring it at at these plate races. And in my opinion, when I look at that roster of four that Stewart Haas Racing has out right now, Ryan Preece, in my opinion, is their best option to get a win. I think he's their best super speedway driver. And so I'm picking Ryan Preece as that big underdog. The number on Preece right now, plus 4,500. That's even better. I think I got it at like plus 4,000. So again, things are constantly shifting and moving. So Ryan Preece, 45 to 1, I think is a good bet if you want one of those dark horse long shot guys. All right. Another one that I will be betting as soon as they drop the top 10 lines. That is David Ragan to finish top 10. Maybe people that are casual fair weather NASCAR fans or just gotten into NASCAR recently, you maybe have never heard of David Ragan. Let me tell you a little story about David Ragan. When he was on a small team like Front Row Motorsports, he was winning at plate races. This guy is an exceptional super speedway driver. When he was with Wick Rare Racing, man, that's a handful to say. The possibly, I would say, the worst team in in the garage, he was getting top tens at this super speedway race. So David Ragan, look him up, Google him for about a minute, look at his career results, go to Daytona, go to Talladega, and you'll see that this guy in an RFK car nonetheless. He's going to be driving the same team as Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher with Roush Fenway Keselowski, David Ragan top 10. My goodness, I'm so amped for this bet I can't even speak. You have to hammer that line as soon as it comes out. Hammer it again after duels, hammer it again after qualifying, hammer that line. David Ragan, I am so confident in this driver to get a top 10. David Ragan is just finds a way to be there around the top 5 when this thing's all said and done. I don't know how. Don't ask me how, but he just figures out a way. So David Ragan, top 10. And then the other guy that it is a little bit of a shock to me on how confident. I heard an interview with on Sirius XM, I think this morning or yesterday, with this team, and it really shocked me about how much confidence this team has that they can really go out and get results this year. And that is Rick Ware Racing. I'm mentioning them again, and Justin Haley. Um, they have a lot of confidence in Justin Haley, who has won at Daytona and has proven to be an exceptional super speedway racer. He's run multiple Xfinity races at super speedways, including Daytona. Um, they feel like they have a shot at this race at super speedways with this driver. And honestly, from what it sounds like, they feel like they can put together some top 20 runs on some big tracks. And if that's the case, and we see that, well, kudos to them. Shout out to Rick Ware for taking that program to the next level. Um, I want to see it. I want to see it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bet it because I have the confidence in Justin Haley that he can find a way. He normally does, even in equipment that isn't great. He finds a way, like David Reagan, to be there at the end at super speedways. What was it? Not last year, 2 years ago, first year of the next gen car in Cal League racing equipment. Justin Haley, before a huge rain delay, was leading that race and led laps in that race. And he's confident when it comes to these super speedway races, and he's patient as well. Which I think when you have that mix of confidence and patience, that's what Denny Hamlin has, and that's how you win these things. So Justin Haley, in this equipment, this RWR equipment, I think he'll have probably. I don't know what that number will close at for top 10, but I think it's probably going to be around plus 400, if I were to guess. And if that's the case, you hammer that line. I think that's going to be a great bet. Um, so those are the main bets I'm giving out. Always Johnny on the track on Action Network. Give me a follow on Action Network. That's if there's anything else I add, maybe like a LaJoy bet, who I see is right now plus 6,000. I think that's pretty good value. If I decide to add a driver like that, you can see it on Action Network. You could see it on my X account, Twitter X account, at JOTT_podcast. So definitely give a follow and keep an eye out for those final bets when I place them through on the Action Network app. And until Sunday, let's lock our bets in. Let's get some good money to start the season, and I just cannot wait to get down to Daytona and watch the Great American Race. I think this is going to be a good one, but it always is. So I don't even have to say that. I do hope that this year's race ends under green flag. I don't want like cautions or if even if we have overtime, give us like a finish where we're not like throwing out a yellow. Um, let's go green, white, checkered. Let's do it all. That would be my only thing. And I think that will take it to that next level of all right, it's already a great race, but to be amazing, let's just have a clean finish at the end, which we did 2 years ago when Cindric won it. So it's definitely possible. Um, but there we go. Those are the bets. Want to know what you guys think? Definitely put your thoughts in the comments section below of who you're targeting, who you're betting on. Maybe some, dark horse guys. Maybe some top 10, some top fives as well. If you want to sprinkle those in, let me know. Put it in the comment section below. Like this video, it goes a long way for the channel. And of course, if you're a first time viewer, listener, and you want to bet with us for the season, or you just want to follow up and be caught up on the hottest news in motorsports, definitely subscribe with that subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.